Sorry about that. Let's clear the air about the IDG bill. Sorry about that. About the IDG. Let's do it over.
Can you ask it again?
So, what's your thought about Intro 1000?
Mm-hmm.
Like Intro 1000, and was it your bill or IDG's bill? Like, what was it?
It was I believe it was Fernando Mateo's bill.
Yeah.
He's a base owner, and I believe it was Mateo's bill. That's what I saw happening at the city council, and also what I saw in the media. My problem with what IDG did is, while IDG rightly, testified saying this is a public health issue. Like, we know that for TLC drivers, parking is a public health issue. Can lead to lots of health, particularly like kidney failure for drivers, which we've seen through the years. But why did IDG lobby to say the bill should only be for FHV drivers, not for yellow cab drivers? If you acknowledge that an issue is about public health for drivers, then are you somehow saying that a yellow cab driver, that a driver based on the color of their vehicle should not have the same, protections for public health? I mean, that's terrible. You're not a unionist, which, they're not, because they take money from the companies, but that's a terrible position for anybody to be claiming, in the industry, whether they're unionists or they're working for the companies, like IDG does.
So IDG, they backed by Uber themselves. Is that true? They backed by Uber. They pay by the apps. Or?
Yes, Uber.
So
and
do you think that it was of the own interest but benefiting Uber instead of only Uber itself, instead of like you guys?
Yeah, that's their role. IDG's role is to be the driver face of Uber's interests.
So going forward, so you said about the human. So what do you think about people are going to say? I know this bill's going to go through tomorrow. There are people. What do you think about the bathroom situation? What do you think about that? Because we're all human. We don't know what we drink. We don't know people's health.
We supported the bill.
Yeah.
We came out. We testified for the bill, but we said the bill should do two things. Number one, it should recognize that it's for vehicles that are human operated. Right, TLC, that the bill should really identify the right to TLC drivers, not just like the vehicle. I know it's a parking related bill, but it should be about, that it's a human operated vehicle. We got to put that in now as, safety nets for us, given the, the era of AVs that we're talking about. Secondly, that it should be for all TLC vehicles, not just for hire vehicles, also yellow cabs. Because if a FHV driver has a right to good public health, which they must, why would we say any other sector of drivers should have less rights? The Taxi Workers Alliance, we never ever make those distinctions. We believe in solidarity, because that's what a union is supposed to fight for. We never ever pit drivers against each other. We work on issues for the rights of all drivers across the industry.
And what do you think about there's a lot of stories about drivers relieving themselves in the car. What do you think about that? Do you think that the apps give people a choice? It's basically to give you a choice. You relieve yourself on your pants or your skirt or whatever, and you risk sticking up your car, and then people complain about you, and then you get deactivated, or you gotta hold it. And the problem is with that is if you hold it, you could die, or you could do the other route and relieve yourself in a cup. Do you think there should be more protections when it comes to that? Because everybody got health reasons.
I think it represents a broken system, a system that has failed the drivers, right?
Yeah.
Those are terrible choices. By the way, I think what the vast majority of drivers do is they end up sacrificing their own health, right?
Yeah.
By just waiting it out to be able to pull over and find that restroom. That's why this these, having more stands. It's unfortunate that the final version of the bill, it's like a 1-year pilot program. Obviously, we've already spoken with the mayor and city hall and expect to, be able to get way more restrooms, and to make that more permanent. And as well as like relief stands, right? So you could park properly and then have a public restroom close to you. And so, should there be rules against these companies that punish them for forcing drivers into these working conditions? Absolutely.
And another thing, what do you think about this controversy? Like, what do you think about like there's certain people that like to divide you guys on purpose? I'm not saying names, but there are people like to divide you guys, like the IDG and TWA. I believe you guys should get along. You guys should be together.
But how could TWA and IDG get along when IDG is paid for by the companies?
Oh,
that is a fundamental conflict.
Yeah.
We represent the drivers and only the drivers' interests. So it's like trying to shake hands with the companies that you're rightly talking about regulating more, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's the companies or their agents who are lobbying for the interests of those companies, that's an interest, that's conflict for us. We're not on the same side. They're on the other side, like what happened with the lockout fight. We were having protests of over 3,000 drivers marching from City Hall to Uber's headquarters. IDG had a barbecue where they invited the mayor and announced a phony deal, backroom fake deal between City Hall and the companies, which is actually an illegal act of collusion between Uber and Lyft, to coordinate these lockouts and then the gradual end supposedly of the lockouts. IDG stood there brokering that. There were no protests against it. They gave cover to the corruption of City Hall and to the exploitation of the companies. We cannot get along with that. I see the fight that Taxi Workers Alliance has to, against the greed and the exploitation of the companies, whether it's the companies directly or any agent that lobbies on behalf of those companies. Our union will proudly, strongly, and unequivocally stand against those interests and those forces.
And do you believe in do you think that with the unfair deactivations, that that's gonna be in 3 months, right? When it goes through, right?
It was 180 days, so
it's like 3 months.
No, 180, so 6 months.
6 months. That's 6 months. So do you think that the app's gonna find a way to keep on retaliating? Like when that comes law, do you think they're gonna try to litigate this, or what do you think is gonna happen?
I think they may try to litigate it because that's been their usual practice. I think they're gonna be out of luck in the courts because this is a really strong bill and it's legally sound and it is so overdue and there's a real public interest need here.
Do you believe? I know, but my last question. Do you believe that the city? We had a women's gender equity hearing with Amanda Faria. That she's the chair of that. Do you think that the app should be pushed? The app should be pushing, the TWA should be pushing more for like women-oriented drivers when it comes to women's rights in the city. Women-oriented drivers. So let's say you're female and you want a women-oriented driver, because there's an option thinking in the West Coast. Do you think that should be?
We've had members talk about that. I mean, Uber has tried to implement that, as far as I understand.
Do you think there should be a kind of law, like there should be women-oriented drivers?
Meaning that women drivers are matched up with female passengers?
Yeah, it should be the option in the city.
I don't necessarily think that should be a law. I think that if it's an option that the companies, provide, as far as I understand it, that's something that they've already started to do. But I tell you, in terms of I think women's rights, right? What we need are higher pay, benefits on the job, retirement, shorter hours. Many of the women drivers are single moms. They're caretakers. Many, male drivers are caretakers. To have to work overtime every day, 6 days of the week, is not sustainable. And those are important. Those are women's rights issues that really, I think, that almost every single woman driver would be at the forefront fighting for.
And do you believe? I know Zohran Madani has a plan for universal child care. Hochul guaranteed $2 billion. Madani won universal. Do you believe that the female driver should be beneficial to that too?
Yeah, I mean, families, right? Whether it's whether the children are being raised by a single mom or two parents, or even a single dad. Yeah, this is a program to really take care of our children and to give some relief to working parents.
And I think one more thing. Since we have this Zohran's push for fast speed buses in the city, we have bus stops. I think we have bus lanes in certain areas. I think you know about in Brooklyn, Utica Avenue and Jamaica Avenue. They have these dollar cabs, $2 vans that they use the bus stops. They never harassed because they're minorities. Do you think that the taxi workers alliance, the taxi drivers, should be benefited from that too? Be able to drive on the bus lanes and park on bus lanes? Because that's a lot of parking right there.
It's a lot
especially in the overnights.
I mean, well, first of all, so a couple of things. First of all, I mean, drivers are legally allowed to pull over to drop off or pick up, but the rule is their rights are not upheld and they still get unfairly ticketed. We have to change that. In the 80s, yellow cabs were allowed to drive in the bus lanes, but the number of vehicles you had then compared to now, that is a massive difference. So I don't know if we would really be able to get the bus lane access, right, with passengers. However, there's a lot of turn restrictions that drivers, especially if you have a passenger, should not be subject to. But the other thing, so I think these are important traffic rights that we need to win. But the other thing is, I don't think that the commuter vans are subject to any less policing because they're mostly people of color. I think if anything, racism is real, and I think as people of color, drivers as a whole are subject to a lot of more policing and ticketing, higher fines, and a lot of discrimination at the hands of the public. So I don't think you should downplay the reality of racism.
Yeah, I'm not here to downplay. And another thing is, so we think that taxi workers, taxi people, should have bulletproof vests. When it should be wearing bulletproof vests in the cars, when they doing the work.
No, I think there's more we need to do to make the city as a whole safer and to make drivers, work more safer.
And what do you think about the trip? You think they should bring back trip? Let's say you put the yellow light in the back of the car and you feel the drivers feel uncomfortable.
The trouble light?
Yeah, do you think that should be brought back, trip stops, stuff like that?
The problem is, the trouble light that's still there, nobody recognizes it. Even police will also drive past you. But why not have something that's connected to the app, right? Mm-hmm. Because majority of, or for yellow cabs, FHVs, you've got the phones, so through the app. For yellow cabs, they have the driver information monitor in the front seat. There should be a trouble light that can be connected through either of these mechanisms for the drivers.
That's but the the thing about do you think that this mayor should be pushing for more of that, in this administration? I know we have a new TLC commissioner. Mm-hmm. We have a DWCP commissioner. Do you think they should be pushing for more crackdowns on the apps when they mess up like that, when they refuse to abide by certain things, especially when it comes to standing up more for the driver more than the passenger?
Yeah, that's what our bill on deactivations is about. That's why we have to fight for higher pay, especially prevailing wage pay, so drivers are really compensated for their hours and expenses and the dangers of this job. But also, I think what you're getting at is putting the responsibility, right now, for example, on safety, for employees, right, most sectors, you can file the Occupational Safety and Health Administration at the federal level. They oversee that corporations, that industries are following safety standards. So there's someone to hold accountable. Because these companies misclassify drivers as independent contractors, right? And on the yellow cab side, they've been found to be independent contractors. There's no corporate entity, the ones that with the deep pockets, to hold responsible for the safety of the drivers, to provide the tools for safety. And yes, these are things under our new administration that I think we can finally start to plan out and really have a lot of optimism that we would be able to win.
And do you think that there should be a fight with you guys and LDU to where that they're gonna prevent the outsourcing of the work? Because I believe, this is my belief, with this bill is going to be passed, I know one got passed already, Intro 1332, what LDU had, yours going to be passed tomorrow in a landslide. Do you think that the apps should not be outsourcing the work to third-party companies so they could get rid of the liability and put the liability on the companies, which is going to completely help them more with union busting or attempted union busting?
Do you mean in terms of the deactivation work? Or?
Yeah, do you think they might outsource the jobs going forward?
I mean, what the bill requires is that the companies have to engage in I believe the term is fair and objective investigation, or maybe thorough and objective investigation. And so, I mean, the law is going to be clear on that. What resources the companies use, the law isn't going to dictate that, and that's not really my concern. My concern is that they do it, that they follow the law to make sure that the drivers, that if there's a complaint, that before they deactivate a driver, they have really properly, fairly, objectively, no discrimination, no retaliation, no picking on any individual driver, that they do a fair investigation before they take that action.
What do you think about the apps going to find? I think their favorite way of retaliating is called route fraud. You heard of that, route fraud or route manipulation?
Right. But this is a thing. Many times a passenger will say, no, I want you to go in X direction, right? And many, many times the companies are charging the passenger far more than, let's say whatever the rates might be based on that route. And so I think it's really arbitrary. I don't trust the company's judgment. I think it's an arbitrary reason to fire drivers because they have overhired, so then they overfire.
Yeah.
It's the business decision here is how to kind of balance out the oversaturation that they themselves are responsible for. And that's why this bill is important, because this cannot be the solution.
And so think about what this is. We have route fraud, and then we have ratings. I know a lot of drivers complain on your platforms, on your mainly Facebook, about the ratings. What do you think about that? You think that app that should be something where they should stop deactivating because of rating level? I understand there's a 3 or 2, but they're deactivating drivers on a 4.75 rating. They
Totally. Yeah, the ratings have not. If you have a high rating, it does not benefit you when the company wants to deactivate you. If you have a low rating, they don't really inform you why or help train you to overcome, So here's the thing, Intro 276, which we fought for, is requires that the companies use progressive discipline, which means a history of notices and trainings. Secondly, they have to look at the totality of your driving record. Right now, it's so selective. You have a good record, right, in terms of ratings or even DMV, TLC, you have a good record. Again, it doesn't favor you. They ignore it. If you have something bad on your record, then, they focus on that. So under this bill, they will have to look at the totality of your record, and they will have to give you notices and trainings along the way.
Do you think that the apps will not be doing that at all? I don't think they're gonna be doing that. They're just going to just keep on deactivating and say, oh, we did this.
And they're going to be subject to fines, lawsuits. I don't think this is a strong law. It is the most comprehensive protections for gig workers across this country on deactivations. LDU put out a statement saying 276 is the most comprehensive protections for gig workers in the country.
And I understand, but do you think that these apps are going to find a way to move the goalposts more?
Sure. Will they try to game the rules? Sure, but that's why drivers have to keep building the union. That's why it's good that we have a city hall right now that has the backs of the drivers, a DCWP that is fully committed to this bill, and a city council, particularly a sponsor who has been so focused and driven to get us to this point of a victory. So we've got a lot of power. Yeah, sure. Do the apps try to game? Sure, but we can respond to that.
And I think another thing is, what do you think about you think that the apps are going to find a way to sell to other companies, try to find a way to sell if you think would we to grow, let's say Uber sells the each proportion to Uber sells their proportion to Amazon, or Lyft sells to Amazon. Well, Amazon's a powerful company. Let's say they go that route to sell to Amazon to really end it, because nobody's gonna go against Amazon. Amazon most.
No, the law will be the law, Christopher.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you can look at it a different way. Maybe if they sold it to Amazon right now and Amazon came in, would it have been harder for us to win the bill? Maybe. I still think we would win.
Yeah.
I think we could beat them. But the point is, the law will already be in existence.
Yeah.
And if the companies use a third-party vendor like they do on the yellow cab side through Curb and Arrow, the drivers will still be protected. They're still covered under the law.
I think that's it. I lost all my. I think that's a final question. But thank you for your interview. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I know you gotta go. Thank you. Take care. Right. Hey, no problem. Anytime. Okay.